Hi there. Thanks so much for joining me today on Dirt Road Believer. I'm Tina. Tuesday we took a look at emotions, and it was a lighthearted approach. We talked about what a day spoiler it can be when something little happens and all of a sudden you overreact and it changes the rest of your day. We're going to go a little deeper into emotions today, and I just want you to think about where your emotions come from. You know, when you look at our built-in emotions that we experience from childhood, they're given to us by God, and they're given to us by God for a reason. You know, when you read through Scripture, you see where God Himself experiences joy, anger, sadness, even regret and disgust. So most of our emotions come from God, although there are some emotions we experience that God does not. God does not experience fear. He does not experience hopelessness. And the only way we have of dealing with those emotions, if they come up, is by the grace of God. He gives us courage. He gives us hope when we need it. So I just want to take a look at a story today from the Old Testament. I feel like emotions have gotten a bad rap over the years from our society today. So I just want to take a look back in Ezra. This is chapter 3, verse, I'm going to start kind of through the middle of verse 11. And this is taking a look at when you have one issue, one event, and you have so many different emotions surrounding that one event. What do you do with that? We are certainly living in a world today where there are just so many varying emotions on issues, and it sets off just a firestorm in our culture. So listen to this. The temple is being rebuilt, and they are having a huge ceremony to kind of kick off this rebuilding. And it says, and all the people gave a great shout of praise to the Lord, because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. But many of the older priests and Levites and family heads who had seen the former temple wept aloud when they saw the foundation of this temple being laid, while many others shouted for joy. No one could distinguish the sound of shouts from the sound of weeping, because the people made so much noise, and the sound was heard from far away. What really gets me about this, and I've been in churches where there have been, arguments over different things. What really gets me about this verse right here is that although there were some people who were saddened, they were weeping over the new temple, some people were happy, they were shouting for joy. It was all directed towards God. And when you blended all those sounds together, you couldn't tell weeping from shouts of joy, because it was all being directed not at each other, but towards God. And where along the way have emotions been translated into opinions? I don't know. This will be a cool study for someone to do. But we have begun to experience less emotion, and I feel like it comes out in the form of opinions now. In the Old Testament, when someone had emotions, everybody around them knew it. There was shouting, there was loud singing, they tore robes a lot. So if you read the Old Testament, if someone was in distress, if they were mad, if they were sad, if they were angry, the robes were getting torn. And when I think about that, they didn't box it up and take it to Goodwill after it was torn and go to Target and get a new one. They repaired it. So where that repair was, where that stitching was when that robe was torn, it was a reminder of the emotion experienced. I know in my own family, this is kind of a crazy story, and you might not look at me the same, but generations past on my dad's side of the family, when women got bad news or when they were experiencing great distress, they crawled around on the ground and started screaming. I'm glad that tradition did not carry on. However, perhaps now we've gone too far the other way. Now we have medication to dull emotion. we mask it or tone it down in fear of being over the top, or she's not civil, or she's a little uncouth. We ignore emotion where we should deal with it. And I just want to kind of leave you with this illustration. You're riding down the road and you hear a little clink in your motor, and you just turn the radio up so you don't have to hear it. And the sound gets louder, you just turn the radio up a little louder so you don't have to hear it. It doesn't go away. The issue is still there with the motor. You're just tuning it out. We do that a lot with our emotions, ladies. We ignore where we should pay attention, because God is giving us those emotions to deal with, because there's something going on there that needs to be dealt with. Wouldn't it be revolutionary if we really began to experience our emotions? Wouldn't it be revolutionary, instead of directing those emotions as opinions and just putting them out there for people to know how we feel, what if we directed them towards what they should be intended towards that person or towards God? There are some emotions we don't need anybody to know about. We need to direct them towards God. I know sometimes I will be so, especially when someone that I have loved has been wronged, and I am so mad, but it's not really my place to direct my emotion. I will get in my car and, oh my goodness, I know when people pass me they think I'm nuts, because I am just venting towards God. I am letting that emotion out. I'm dealing with the feeling of disappointment in this video because I was not pleased with the way I ended the last one. So if you are struggling with emotions, whether it's dealing with emotions, whether it's emotions that are misdirected, I want to encourage you to begin to pray about that. God said that He sent His Son so that we could have life and that we could have it more abundantly, and He gave us emotions to be able to do that. And there's no guidebook on how we should deal with emotions, how we should display our emotions, and I think that we should be prayerful about how to do that in a godly way. I'm so glad that you joined me today. I hope this message spoke to you. Perhaps you thought of a friend who is having a difficult time dealing with emotions. Please share this or subscribe, and I really hope to see you next week. Every day I'm going to be posting. This will be a little something different this week, and then it'll end Saturday with my first message called Dirt Road Believer. So I hope that you'll join me, and thanks for joining me today on Dirt Road Believer. Have a great weekend.